Hello everyone, welcome to video lecture on how to measure solar radiations and what are the devices used, what are the techniques used to measure the solar radiations. All these topics will be discussed in this video. As we are having so many applications for heating or for electricity or for drying application or for solar cooling. For all these application, we need to know how the solar devices will perform. So, say for example, for what intensity of light, what is the power coming out from the solar panel, or how much water or any device, any object can be, any fluid can be heated in a solar water heater. To measure these things, we need to have a certain standards. What are the devices that we can use? What type of beam is measured, and how the total radiation is calculated? All these things we will discuss now. The first thing is the importance is to measure the performance of the solar device and also to find the efficiency, how it converts the input energy into output energy. So to know all these things, we need to measure the solar radiations. Some devices are used to measure the direct solar radiation, and there are some designs which will measure diffused and total radiation. So, like now, there are different types. As I have told, the measurement can be done for solar beam radiation and diffuse radiation and total radiation or insolation. So for all these three for all these three different measurements, we are having different set of devices to measure the solar radiation. Devices in the sense, there is a set of device which measures only beam radiation, and there is a set of radiation which measures only uh, total radiation. And we know that the difference will be the amount of diffused radiation which comes into the surface. And we have two main category of measuring devices, solar radiation measurement devices. One is the pyrheliometer and other one is the pyranometer. There is one more device that is called sunshine recorder. One more device is sunshine recorder. So pyrheliometer is used to measure the beam radiation. It is used only to measure the beam radiation. And pyranometer is a device, it is used to measure total radiation. Total radiation includes beam radiation plus diffused radiation. So this is the application of the pyranometer. Now we will discuss what is pyrheliometer. Pyrheliometer is a device used to measure beam radiation. This I have already told. It's a device used to measure the beam radiation. Diffused radiations which comes to the sensor will be effectively blocked from reaching that sensor. It actually works on thermopile effect, and it will be having a long tube. It will have a long tube, and at the bottom of the tube there will be a sensor, and this long tube should always be in parallel. The axis of the tube should always be in parallel with the solar radiation which comes towards it. That is possible only when there is a mechanical mechanism which rotates this pyrheliometer along with the sun. So at every angle of rotation of sun, the pyrheliometer should be rotated such that the tube will be aligned in the same direction as the solar beam. That's how we can measure only beam radiation. The sensor, as it is placed at the bottom of the tube, it effectively uh, avoids the any incoming diffused radiation. And the tube is called collimator tube, and that collimator tube will have a small angle of 5 degrees. And this diffused radiation will will be effectively blocked, such that we measure only beam radiation from the sensor. And this pyrheliometer has some disadvantages or problems. That is, one is aperture angle. It is very difficult to maintain the aperture angle as 5 degrees. And other one is circumsolar contributions, in the sense, the sun, what we see, the light, when it comes from the sun, when exactly it reaches the atmosphere, it forms a small ring kind of thing. That will be because of the scattering of the light exactly around the sun. And that will also have a impact on the measurement of the radiations intensity, solar radiation intensity. So that solar circumsolar contribution is one thing which we cannot avoid. Even maintaining aperture angle is also very difficult. And exactly tracking the sun, as and with respect to the angle of rotation of the sun, the tracking of the sun is again a problem. And that can be reached to some accuracy. That is also problem, but it can be managed. We can have a good tracking system which makes sure that the sunlight is exactly aligned with the axis of the collimator tube. And there are three popular pyrheliometers available. That is, one is angstrom compensation pyrheliometer, and about silver disc pyrheliometer, and E-play pyrheliometer. Yeah, in this slide we can see angstrom pyrheliometer. This is most popular pyrheliometer. And the construction goes like this. It has a stand, and there will be a collimator tube, and this is the entry point of the solar radiation. The axis of this tube is adjusted along the solar radiations, parallel to the solar radiations, using these screws. And there will be a sensor at the bottom, and that sensor will receive the solar radiation. Only beam radiation is made to pass this collimator tube, because the diffuse radiation will all be blocked effectively. And the inside this sensor, there will be two magnum strips. There will be two magnin strips, and these two magnin strips are connected to a galvanometer. And these magnin strips are blackened. The surface of the magnin strip will be blackened, so that one strip which is exposed to sun will get heated up, and the other strip, which is in the shaded place, it will be covered from the sunlight. There will not be any exposure of the sunlight to this strip. So what actually happens is, these two strips are connected to a thermocouple. Thermocouple is a device which gives a small voltage when there is a temperature difference between the junction. Because it is connected in such a way that one end is heated by solar radiation, other end is covered with some blackening agent, or some shading object is used to cover this, so that it is not exposed to sunlight. That's all. Then, because of this temperature difference, we can measure the some voltage, but outside there is another circuit, external circuit. From this circuit, what we can do is we can supply electric current, and this shaded ring or shaded strip will be heated up with the external voltage. The voltage or current what we supply, the power what we supply for heating the strip, second strip, is measured with the help of second galvanometer, and the heating will be done such that these two surfaces comes into same temperature. When these two strips comes into same temperature, there will not be any EMF, because the thermocouple will not find any temperature difference of the two junctions. Then we can say that the amount of current that is supplied for heating one end of the strip is the actual radiation energy which has been received from the sun on the strip A. The strip which is exposed, say it got a temperature of 50 degree, and we supply some energy to bring this also to 50 degree. So that much of energy what is supplied is the measure of the solar radiation which is absorbed by the first strip which is exposed to sunlight. So that current or the energy what is supplied is measured here, and it is varied. The variation can be done using this rheostat, and the measurement is direct measure of the energy solar radiation which comes and falls on this object, and it is proportional to the current square, I square. So H, radiation intensity, H is proportional to I square, and it can be equated also. H is equal to I square with the multiplication constant. Some constant of multiplication will be there, K. So if we multiply that, we can get the value of H, that is intensity of solar radiation absorbed by the strip A. This is about Armstrong pyrheliometer. It is used for measuring the beam radiation. Yeah, in this slide we are seeing is about silver disc pyrheliometer. About silver disc pyrheliometer is again a radiation measuring device, but it measures only beam radiation. It is specifically designed to measure the intensity of beam radiation. And what are the parts? So it has as usual a stand and rotating arrangement so that light can be aligned. This is the collimator tube, this is the thermometer, and there are shading rings. Working principle is, when the beam radiation comes through this collimator tube, it passes through the collimator tube, and here there will be a suspended disc at this location, and this suspended disc will be consisting of a silver disc, and that silver disc is completely blackened. It is completely blackened such that it is also in contact with the thermometer. This is also in contact with the thermometer, and this thermometer is a 90-degree bent thermometer. So it has a mercury inside the thermometer, and that mercury will get expanded depending on the temperature what the surface gets, and that is a measure of the intensity of radiation. We will get the temperature later, it will be calibrated for the intensity of radiation. And this temperature rise or mercury thermometer, the indications from the mercury thermometer is aligned in with respect to sunlight, because If it is perpendicular, then there is a chance that the the sun rays will also heat up the liquid mercury inside the thermometer. That's why it is made along the sunrise, along with the sunrise. It is That's why it is a 90-degree bent thermometer. And this there is a suspended disc D, and this collimator tube has many diaphragms, such a way that the light which enters from the entry point will be limited for a small angle of 5.7 degrees to fall on this surface. So there will be three rotating shutters. What you can see here is three rotating shutters that will be operated depending on the closing and opening requirement of the pyrheliometer. And one more thing is, this is a stable pyranometer, and this is again widely used thermometer pyrheliometer in the measurement of solar radiation. And next we have one more measuring system, that is Epley pyrheliometer, and this is the Epley pyrheliometer. Epley pyrheliometer is a device used again for measuring the beam radiation. It also effectively separates the diffused radiation coming into the sensor. We will not be able to measure the total radiation. We can measure only beam radiation. The construction of Epley pyrheliometer goes like this. It has a temperature compensating network here, and there will be a double walled brass tube, and there will be a quartz window here, and it is removable, and there is a alignment option here. We can use that for aligning with respect to sunlight. And there is a aperture stop here, and this whole collimator tube maintains inside beam angle of around 5.7 degree, and that is called aperture angle, and 5.7 degrees maintained by the diaphragms which are present inside the brass tube. And this whole tube is filled with the dry air, and it is completely blocked airtight, and here there is a quartz window. The end of this collimator tube has a sensor, and the sensor is nothing but temperature compensated bismuth silver thermopile. And this bismuth silver thermopile it's just a thermocouple junction arranged in a series, so that there will be a better voltage up in the measuring system in the network. So there will be number of thermocouples connected in series, so that we can get a better voltage up. So this is again having two junctions. Thermocouple means it has two junctions, hot junction and cold junction. That is called as thermopile. That system is called as thermopile, and that actually explained in the previous slides. The way how it works has been explained in the previous slide. So that whole system is called thermopile, and that is mounted at the end of the tube. And here in this picture we can see actual instrument which is used in measuring the solar beams in the industries. So this is a tube, and these are the mounting mechanisms. Light beam enters through this hole, and there will be a sensor, and the voltage will be measured from the cable which is coming out here. This is about Epley pyrheliometer. In this slide we can see pyranometer. Pyranometer is again a device which is used to measure the solar radiation. This device measures total radiation, unlike pyrheliometer, which measures only uh, beam radiation. This pyranometer measures total radiation or global radiation. If we attach any shading ring to this pyranometer, which effectively blocks the beam radiation from the sun is blocked, then it measures only diffused radiation. Because there is no beam radiation, the radiation what is measured is the remaining light, and the remaining light is diffused radiation. So we can use this for measuring two types of radiation. One is global radiation, and also we measure diffused radiation with the help of shading ring. The working principle will be similar to the pyrheliometer. It has a black sensing unit, and that sensing unit is made up of thermopile junction. There will be two thermopile junction, cold and hot. Hot junction is exposed to sunlight, and cold junction is covered and it is kept away from the sunlight. When there is a temperature rise in the thermocouple which is exposed to sunlight, and this produces EMF in the circuit, and the EMF proportional to somewhere 0 to 10 millivolt is measured, recorded. Then it is integrated over a period of time. So to what period of time we have to measure the solar radiation, and it will be integrated over that variation will be integrated over that period of time, and that is calibrated for the intensity of solar radiation. The picture what we see here is a picture of pyranometer, and we can see there is a hemispherical dome that actually allows the light in all direction, unlike pyrheliometer, which has a long tubular structure, make sure that only beam radiation enters the sensing unit. Here we allow light in all direction, so that it measures the diffused radiation. So there are again different categories. There will be three types again: Epley pyranometer, Elot solarimeter, and Moll-Gorsky-Casey solarimeter, and there is one more thing called bimetallic actionographs, and Volcam pyranometer, and thermoelectric pyranometer. These are few examples or types of different designs which are used for measuring the solar radiation. These are all the final aim of all these devices to measure total radiation, that is global radiation. And also we can use it for measuring diffused radiation. So for beam radiation we have to use pyrheliometer. This is pyranometer. And now what is first device is Epley pyranometer. We will discuss about Epley pyranometer. So we can see the picture here. This picture shows the working of or construction of pyranometer. It has two junction. One is a hot junction which is exposed to sunlight, and this is the cold junction which is kept away from the sunlight, or it is shaded completely. And these two junctions are connected to an electric circuit, and the work principle of thermocouple is to produce EMF when there is a temperature difference. So because of this temperature difference, which is exposed to sun and which is not exposed to sun, which produces temperature difference, and there is a EMF produced, and that will be measured in the calibrated, and it will be measured as a intensity of radiation coming into the pyranometer. And we can see there is a hemispherical glass domes. These are glass domes which allow the light to enter the sensor. And there is an EMF potential of 0 to 10 millivolt is usually produced from the hot and cold junction of the thermopile. Thermopile is nothing but a thermocouple with two junction, one exposed to sunlight and other is cold junction, kept separate from the sunlight. And this pyrheliometer is made in it is actually arranged in two ways. One is there may be a hot and cold junction which are colored as a black and white, and that will be painted black and white, and it will be kept as a concentric rings. Otherwise there may be another arrangement in which we can see alternate black and white arrangement, and this alternate black and white arrangement will have two junctions at white and black location, and usually there will be some 100 to 50 thermocouple junctions, 10 to 50 thermocouple junctions that will be usually enclosed inside the pyranometer dome. So this will give the enough voltage to calibrate and give the reading of the solar radiation. Next is Elot solarimeter. Elot solarimeter is one such type of solarimeter in which instead of using thermocouple, it uses photovoltaic cell. So photovoltaic cell, in the sense there will be a silicon cell, silicon junction. When sunlight falls on the silicon junction, because of that light, it produces there will be free electrons which will be actually produced when sunlight is, or a photon is made to fall into the PV cell, and that will be produced EMF will be measured as a radiation intensity which falls on the Elot solarimeter. And this solarimeter has a one disadvantage is the PV cell is sensitive to certain band of wavelength. That is why at a different point of position of the solar sun, the measured reading will be different. That means if the wavelength is different, then the reading what we get is not accurate. That's why Elot solarimeter has more sensitivity towards the solar solar wavelength, solar radiation wavelength. In this slide we can see sunshine recorder. Sunshine recorder is again solar radiation measurement device, but here the reading what we get is in a physical form. That means unlike pyranometer and pyrheliometer, this doesn't have any electrical circuit or electrical way of measuring the radiation. Here we don't usually measure the intensity of radiation, but here we do measure the length of the bright sunlight which takes place throughout the day. That means it is used to measure the duration of bright sunlight. It is used to measure the duration of bright sunlight in the sense from morning what time till what time we will get the brightness or bright sunlight is measured or it is recorded. And here the parts of the sunshine recorder goes like this. There will be a glass sphere. This is a glass sphere, and sunshine card is placed here. The blue color thing is sunshine card, and there is a brass base to support this whole setup. What happens when bright sunlight falls on this sphere? The sphere will concentrate the light at one point, and that light falls on the sunshine card. This sunshine card is made so that when the intensity of bright light falls on the card, it starts burning. So that blackened part, or the burnt portion of the sunshine recorder card, is the point of measurement. So when sun rises, slowly the intensity of light rises, and it start burning the sunshine card, and along the path of the sun till evening, say some 6 o'clock or 6:30, 7 o'clock, depending on the sunlight availability, it keeps on burning the card. So from that, we will measure the length of the burnt uh, card from this end to this end. That will give us the total uh, total duration of bright sunshine of the day. So that can be measured with the help of sunshine recorder. So this is not having any electrical connections. It is completely a mechanical device, and it also accounts into all the radiations like beam radiation or diffuse radiation that is not going to affect the glass sphere. So in all the direction light enters and will get focused exactly at one point. So this is how uh, the duration of the sunlight is, or sunshine is recorded with the help of sunshine recorder. Next, till now we have seen how to read and record the solar radiation data. This recorded solar radiation data can be represented in several forms. The data sheet should include some of the information that is given below. Uh, it goes like this: whether the readings what we have taken is instantaneous measurement or it is integrated over some period. It should be mentioned on the radiation data. So any data sheet if you see, then there should be a clear detail about um, whether the measurements are taken at particular time, say at 8 o'clock, or say at 12 o'clock noon, or say at evening 6 o'clock. So that instantaneous measurement, or it is an integrated over a period of time. Like, okay, the data what you see 10,000 watt per meter square, okay, it is integrated throughout the day, or it is integrated for an hour. Like that detail should be mentioned in the uh, data sheet. Then time period of measurement. So it is measured for one day, or it is measured for 1 month, or the data what is collected is for only specific period of time. So that time should be mentioned in the data sheet. Then the data what measured is a beam radiation, or the intensity is because of total radiation, or any device. If you are specifically using that device, name should also be mentioned. Then orientation of the collector, because the data what we collect is dependent on the orientation. Say east and west orientation has a less data intensity compared to the north and south orientation of the collector. So these things matter. That's why orientation, inclination, those things should be mentioned. And if you're averaging the data, if from morning 6 to evening 6, if the data is averaged, then there will be different types of averaging. So that type of averaging should also be mentioned in the data sheet. This is about solar radiation data. And here in this slide we can see what is the type of radiation intensity we see during normal day and cloudy day. So during normal day, we can see that the the light intensity is very peak at afternoon 12. Light intensity is very peak at afternoon 12. This is global radiation. Global radiation in the sense total radiation, sum of diffuse radiation plus this length is beam radiation. This is for clear day. But in case if the measurement is done during cloudy day, if there is a cloud covered, then total radiation intensity comes down, because the beam radiation what comes from the sun gets reflected by the clouds. The clouds reflects the beam radiation. That is why the only remaining thing is diffused radiation and very small part of fluctuating beam radiation. Because of the motion of the clouds, there will be fluctuating global radiations. So this is how we can see the loss of solar radiation if the clouds are present. There is almost more than 50% of the energy is dropped. Next we can see how we can get the average solar radiation data. So how do solar radiation data is averaged? So solar radiation data average can be done using these equations, and based on these equation we will solve one problem on averaging solar radiation. So here this is the equation. HAV is the solar radiation intensity which is averaged, and this is H naught. H naught is the again average total radiation, but it is on the atmosphere, on the top of the atmosphere. This is on the ground, and A and B are constants. They are random constants which value will be given in the next slide, and it is fixed, and we can get the data from some data sheets. And this N is daily average of the sunshine over a period, say over a month of a period, like that. If it is measured for a month, it is for a period of month. If it is measured in a day, so what is the daily average of the sunshine? And capital N is the maximum daily hours of sunshine. So capital N gives should be substituted with the in a day. If maximum maximum hour of the peak sunshine is there, so that period is calculated and substituted in this equation. To get H naught, we can use this formula 24 by pi into ISC. It's just a constant. Constant is solar radiation intensity constant. It is 1.3 watt per meter square. Sorry, 1.3 kilowatt per meter square. So within a small area of 1 meter square, you will get 1.3 kilowatt of power, plus 1 plus 0.333 cos 630 n by 365 into cos phi dou sin omega s 2 pi omega s 360, then sin phi sin dou, where phi is the latitude or location, dou is declination of the sun, earth with respect to sun, then omega s is the, what is omega s? Omega s is the hour angle. Yeah, sunrise hour angle, omega s. And these things are in terms of sine of angle. And this one more equation is there. To calculate capital N, we can use 2 by 15 into cos inverse of minus tan phi into tan dou. Cos phi of minus tan and tan dou will give the omega s. So what is the hour angle? Hour angle, if we multiply that with the 2, we will get total hours of sunshine. So we will get maximum hours of sunshine. So we'll get this if we multiply this 2 with the hour angle, but that will be in terms of theta, degrees. That will be in terms of degrees. So if assume if we have 180 degree angle, 180, if we have only sunrise angle as 90, into 2 is 180. That 180, if we divide it by 15, then we will get how many numbers of hours that maximum sunshine is seen. That n value is how many hours of maximum sunshine can be seen. But this is the average of that time. If the intensity of light is high or less, that period is averaged. Okay. That will be given in data a and b or n dash h naught. You have to calculate. H naught should be calculated. And in the next slide we can see how for different towns in our country a and b variation takes place. This is used for solving problems, and generally this data will be given. So otherwise you can expect a chart to solve this problem using a and b data. That a and b should be substituted in the equation, that is average solar radiation.